Hey, how you doing there again, folks? Me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you, another offering off my sampler platter. Yes, indeed, folks, sampler video series videos I've been doing for a little while. I go over there, try out food and drink items. I eat the stuff, I drink stuff. Then, folks, I'm going to talk about the stuff. I'm going to let you know all that you need to know about hopefully delicious stuff that, hey, folks, yeah, you could go over there and get it from someone else, but they might sell drugs to your kids. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, I'm not going to sell drugs to your kids. I don't sell drugs at all, not even to adults, let alone kids. What I do is go over there and my brain went over there and said it, and it was just like, no, don't let it linger. And then it was like, doo-doo. Here's my Peter Griffin moment. But what I do actually do is I go over there and I try out foods, I yammer on, I'm in a truck, I got a Grody work shirt on. That means that I was on my way someplace, probably after work, and I found a thing to review. That's the case today. Because I went to a gas station I basically never go to, and they had some stuff to try. I've already reviewed some banana bread and some ginger ale. This is the third item that I got. We got, boom, root beer, but not just any root beer. Sprechers root beer. Yes, Sprecher or Sprecher. I'm not sure. I'm genuinely I've always been uncertain about how to pronounce their name. It's fire brewed craft soda. It's root beer. Now here's the thing, folks. Right off the bat, I've had Sprechers soda before. I've had Sprechers root beer. I don't know how many times. It's a favorite go-to when I go to like craft burger spots, because usually they have it. Sometimes even on tap. I'm not a beer guy, so root beer is my go-to. But, never had it out of a can, because I had no idea they sold it in cans. This is a new one to me. Apparently, it's made with honey, and it's an antioxidant, you can see. Let's see. Has the whole thing. This New York Times award-winning root beer has the rich, creamy flavor that only comes from using natural Wisconsin honey, direct from the combs. By the way, I did a whole review of, I did a natural honey comparison. Go watch that video. That's a good one. None of mine are good, but whatever. Our brewmaster skillfully combines honey, vanilla, and a host of aromatic botanicals, a handmade... Okay. So, like I said, I do like Sprechers, or Sprechers, whatever the hell you want to call it. I've never had it out of a can. For those of you who, if you're in the know when it comes to soda, container does matter. Container does matter. Typically, glass is the business. That's what you want your soda to come out of. But cans are pretty good too. Plus, I'm going to be honest with you folks, it's an excuse for me to drink root beer early in the morning. That'll be my thumbnail. But yeah, that's kind of what it comes down to. I saw Sprechers root beer. It's in a can. I was like, fuck it, let's try Sprechers root beer in a can. Let's give it a go, folks. I like root beer. Big root beer fan. Be interesting to taste it in this environment. See how it stands up in it. In an environment where I'm not over there eating a super giant delicious burger. That's how I remember it. Excuse me. It's good. I like it. Now, I will say, I mentioned this in other root beer related things. For me, there's kind of two camps of root beer. You have, on the one hand, like your mugs and your AMWs, which are a little bit more commercial friendly. They're a little bit easier to please, I think, more people. A little bit sweeter. Don't have as much going on in terms of, the depth of flavor, but still perfectly good. They're root beer. Then on the other hand, you have root beers that are like Bargs and Dad's, which to me is where my preference lies. I like a root beer that's a little bit harsher, that has a little bit more going on. It's got more elements working with it. Sprecher is kind of somewhere in the middle of those. Because on the one hand, in terms of its flavor, it does lean a little bit towards kind of the A&W-ish. You know, I mean, it's got vanilla in it. You know, it's a little bit sweeter than I might typically like my root beer. Not that I hate sweet root beer, but, you know. But what it has going for it is it has a little bit of that harshness. You know, the little extra carbonation, a little extra oomph to it. So it has that aspect of it that I like. So it ends up being this, like, nice kind of interesting hybrid drink for me, where on the one hand, yeah, it's not, you know, everything that I want a root beer to be, but at the same time, it kind of takes some of the, you know, the better aspects of both camps, and it combines them into one thing. Because it's flavorful, it's a little bit sweeter than, like I said, than I typically want, but the sweetness actually works well. And while it does have a certain, it drinks well, it's not like almost overly creamy that I kind of feel A&W is. Which, to be fair, that's part of A&W's charm. You know, I'm not saying otherwise. Just for me, I like that. I like that little extra oomph that makes me stop for a second while I'm drinking it, and it kind of makes me appreciate it a little bit more. Yeah, I like it. Now, the question has to be asked, can or glass? I mean, can's bigger than the glasses. I think you're going to get more out of a can than you are out of the glass. Glass. Still glass. The can works perfectly nice. It's a nice way to carry it, especially right now it's cold, so I don't have to worry about, you know, heating up or anything. But yeah, definitely. I will say I do like the can design. I really do. I think it's a little bit classy. I like it. But yeah, glass is definitely still the reigning champion. If they can go over there and find some way to just encapsulate root beer in like a cushion of like near freezing air, that will be the perfect delivery system, I feel. But until that time, I think the glass bottle is probably going to always be the champion. But the can is actually still nice, and I like the fact that I could get this from a gas station. What with the root beer burps and such. I can dig it. Now, mind you, it's New York Times award-winning root beer. I don't know how qualified the New York Times is to go over there and weigh in on the root beer comings and goings. I don't know that it would personally have won for me, but still good root beer. Would I recommend it, though? That becomes the question that I just asked myself and you. Yes, I would, but it comes down to when you want a root beer. Again, it kind of depends on what camp you're falling into. But the thing is, this is one of those root beers that because it does have both elements, I think either side could enjoy it. I don't think, for me, it's not my favorite root beer, but I could see it actually being someone's favorite root beer. Some root beers, it's like, no, that's just not going to happen. But this one, I could see it. It has enough going for it, and it has enough positive elements to it. If you're somebody who you're particularly dedicated to, you know, that mug, that A&W style, this might be a nice branching point, because it still has some of those elements, and I've heard people regard like the more harsh root beers as being almost medicinal tasting. You know, it doesn't have that in abundance. But at the same time, it has a little extra edge. Maybe you like that. Conversely, if you're on the other side of that, it might be a little bit weaker than what you want, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with having an occasional sweet root beer that, you know, kind of, you know, has a little bit of a, you know, something of a creamy aspect to it. Maybe if A&W and Mug are a little bit too light on them, this could work for you. Anyway, 5 things before I get out of here, folks. Have yourself a great rest of the day, spectacular rest of the week, monumental rest of the month, still pennies your folks. You can go over there and have yourself a truly root beer-tastic rest of your lives. Because root beer, it's the best soda. It just is. I know. I drink soda. Okay? And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, well, Brandon, I drink soda too. Not like I do. To be fair, I actually don't drink soda nearly as much as I used to. But trust me, folks. When I was growing up, I drank a lot of soda. It was a combination of it being the time in which I lived and questionable parenting. So I love my dad. I love him so much. He was such a good dude. But he didn't always make the best life decisions. And occasionally I bore, maybe not the brunt of that, but I was affected by it. My dad drank soda like it was water, so did I for a good chunk of my life. I have definitely had more soda than most people ever will. Anyway, final two things, folks. Number one, try to bring some positivity to the world. It's not always possible. It is, however, always appreciated. But what you do if you can't do it all the time, I know I can't do it all the time. Here's what you do, folks. Try not to be an asshole. Now, it's pretty easy not being an asshole when you're drinking some tasty, tasty root beer. But, even with that in mind, I'm not always going to have a root beer on hand. I mean, now that I think about it, maybe I should just always have an emergency root beer on hand. Might make it easier to not be an asshole sometimes. But that's impractical, at least with our current technology. Now, that all said, folks, even if I run into a situation where I'm without my root beer to help me, I have to take a step back, mitigate the level of assholishness in my life, because hopefully it makes things better for everybody. Very final thing, folks, do the thing. Whatever the thing is for you, that's what I want you to go out and do. Folks, maybe you're going to go over there, you're going to try yourself out some root beer. I don't even care what time. Doesn't have to be Sprechers. It can be what the fuck ever root beer. Which, by the way, don't take that name. That's going to be the name of my root beer now. What the fuck ever root beer. Sure is root beer. I'm making millions, folks. Between all the money I'm going to be making off of YouTube, my root beer, my goth/emo band that I'm working on called Shallow Darkness. Oh yeah, we're going to have the hits, ladies and gentlemen. But maybe you're going to go over there, you're going to try some root beer while listening to your Shallow Darkness CD. And, you know, maybe you're over there and you're drinking some root beer, you're having a delicious time, and while you're doing so, okay, you're over there and you see some unfortunate person being attacked by a bear. Now, under normal circumstances, you would just go over there and call for help, but you've got a root beer in your hands, and that imbues you with root beer power. So you go over there and you run up to that bear and you say, "No, bear, you will not eat this person. And if you want to wrestle for it, I am fueled by root beer right now, and you know you're going down." And the bear, he's a smart bear, right? And the bear's like, all right, I'm not going to do that. But then maybe the two of you go over there and you talk out your differences. Maybe it turns out the person he was chasing was a dickbag. You don't know. Maybe you get to talking and doing and stuff like that. Something, you start up a country bear jamboree, make billions of dollars, sell out stadiums, open up for Bon Jovi. Or conversely, you could not do any of that. In fact, I'm going to suggest you don't do that, because even though root beer is delicious, I don't know how well it's going to help you in potentially wrestling a bear. I don't know if there's science behind that, though, so maybe you could go over there and do something that's way more realistic, like, it's a thing that you could do. Maybe you could go over there and learn to ride a unicycle. That's not anything I would ever try to do. Actually, I think I did try to do it once. Now I'm like unlocking a memory that I had from a very little kid. Yeah, I think a kid in the neighborhood could do it. And like at one point in time, I tried a couple times and realized very quickly I wasn't going to be good at it. So I was like, no, thank you. But maybe you're going to be good at it. And then maybe you go over there and, I don't know, do unicycle tricks. Play the unicycle racing game for Super Nintendo. Bye.